fastest driver as in this time for our fifth hot lap, the new F126 hot lap, which will be here for the round 13 of the championship, even though effectively it's still only round 11 of the championship, which is of course the Hungarian Grand Prix that is run at a historic we could say uncompromising, challenging Hungarian, which obviously is out there in the valley, which is being overlooked by that wonderful water park. You cannot really think of a better salary to start that well-deserved summer vacation, as you can see over here on the 3D calendar or the 2D calendar, whether it's designed on the Scarlet Ferrari colors or not. We will jump here into the cockpit of the new F126 cars, and we will see exactly how the race drivers will tackle this challenging circuit, how Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc will try to emulate, the perfect pole sitter here at the Hungarian Grand Prix, the Smalling champion, who has planted it on the pole position 5 out of 5 times so far. So I'll definitely be aiming to make it 6 out of 6, and obviously having set the 4 fastest laps and 3 victories, as I'm aiming for the 4th victory, which is why you can see the 4 Formula 1 Grand Prix winners trophies. I'm really chasing the records of Michael Schumacher's Scuderia Ferrari. Has only won here 7 times, only because obviously we are racing for the 40th time, but some of the victories, especially my childhood hero Michael's victories, were really exceptional. We also have 9 fastest laps, 9 pole positions, and of course 26 podiums, which will be the bare minimum, but I'm sure we will be very competitive over here. And today, as we will climb into the cockpit of this wonderful setup that we have here at our home sweet home, this Ferrari SF1000T 818 Formula 1 Racing Simulator, we will take a look at the setup. So you probably remember from the previous round in Belgium that we were almost kind of going for an identical setup. Here it's slightly different, but I have to say, that I've again only done 10 laps of the Hungarian, the new F126 cars, and the setup can actually make quite a big difference. The straight holes also make the track, make your car, your prancing horse literally start prancing and exploding, and some of the straights. So it's gonna be a lot of fun as we will do the warm-up lap and explain to you what the best racing lines are, what are the keys over here, because who has the keys? Yeah, the Smiling Sun champion over here along the Ferrari's crest bucket has them, just like in Abu Dhabi in Yas Marina, because we are always on pole position. And then we will see, can we make it? Can we actually get closer and maybe even beat our hot lap from the F125 cars? Obviously the red hot lap will be absolutely fantastic. Definitely stay tuned for that. But it will be quite interesting to see, because the cars are actually quite competitive, so to speak, the F126 car. So I cannot wait to show it to you. Shall I climb into the cockpit of this Scarlet and Ferrari? Of course. So let me go. And of course you can see that we will take out our brand new Active Aero, all new innovative cars over here. And we will of course go to, as you can see over here, round 13. So Hungary should really start the second half of the season, but instead what it will effectively do is to end the first racing half of the season, as we are obviously short on a couple of races. Lap record 1 minute 16.627. We will challenge you definitely with the red hot lap. That's by Lewis Hamilton. So that shows you over here, just how competitive, for example, we can be here, either with Lewis or Charles Leclerc, who has gotten closest to the victory at this very track, at this very challenging, uncompromising Hungary ring, of course, in the 2025, before obviously he had to have the different tires with higher tire pressures, which surprisingly didn't work out for him. So in our new F126 fashion, we will show it to you. You can see the track is pretty much unchanged since its debut 40 years ago, which actually gives you a great reference of just how fast or slow maybe the cars are over here. So first, let's take a look at the setup, because setup again is absolutely critical over here. With the right setup, again, the car will feel plenty. There are lots of turns, right? So you probably already know what I'm gonna do with the setup if you've been watching lots of these videos over here. So for the fuel load, that stays the same for the time trial at 10 kg, 10 kilograms. But obviously you do want to run a very low fuel load over here, even though it might not have such a big impact on the overall performance. Aerodynamics, so we will go the same like we usually do, from the aero at 50, renewing aero also at 50. there are a lot of straight modes, so the arrow will open, but you really do need a lot of the downforce for lots of the turns, lots of chicanes, lots of especially medium speed corners, and this wing works really well. Transmission, so differential adjustment on throttle will be at 100%, and differential adjustment of throttle only at 30%. Quite unlike, again, to make sure that we can turn the car relatively nicely, that we have the good sense of change of direction with the Scarlet Ferrari. For the suspension geometry, front camber at minus 3.50 degrees, rear camber at minus 2.00 degrees. Again, we go all the way to the minimum for the front toe out at 0.00 degrees, rear toe in at 0.10 degrees. However, big changes we will make to the suspension. When we start with the front suspension, and you can see I'm already changing it here. For the front suspension, we will do 41 very firm, not so soft. The rear suspension at 13, you can play with that, but the critical part is really the front anti-roll bar. I'll again set it to 16, rear anti-roll bar to 17, and then the car will be stable. So for example, what happens is if you turn in sharply, the car will be fine. The car doesn't start to over-rotate, which means that you simply then have to correct it. That can easily cost you the time, and as you will see in a Grand Prix, that can be very costly. In some of the turns you can easily lose maybe even up to half a second with this special tweak of the setup. Front ride height at 21, rear ride height at 40. Brakes, so we will put our favorite front brake bias at 56% with a 100% brake pressure, so we don't leave any time on the table. And the tires, you do remember that obviously it is kind of, it depends on the weather forecast, right? Like normally you would want to have the softer tires because they have a larger surface area, so the traction will be improved. And this circuit is a lot about traction. You're coming out of turn 1, the turn 2, you need a lot of traction also out of the turn 5 through the chicane, through obviously that Mickey Mouse section, but even basically through the final 3 corners, the traction is really important. Over there, you don't want to be spending too much time off the throttle because you're not really gaining time there. So what we did now with the tire pressures is we will put front right tire pressure at 29.5 psi per square inch, same for the front left tire pressure at 29.5 psi per square inch. Remember, because we are running such a high wing, again, we just want to increase the top speed, even though with a straight mode that is much less of an importance in this wonderful year of 2026. Rear right tire pressure is at 22.0 psi per square inch, rear left tire pressure at 22.0 psi per square inch to improve the traction, because again, the rears can easily lock up on you. And if you have the traction, that's pretty much all you need. So this is the setup. This is how we will put our Scarlet Red Ferrari, to pretty much how we will configure it to fit this challenging track that is celebrating 40 years of birthday, which we will be next year. So it is slightly older than us. Guys, let's master it over here. Okay, the one model first. Okay, so in my obviously great long string question, which probably won't be needed. Here you will be exiting, again, be careful with the pit exit, but here, this corner is absolutely critical, right? So you go 3rd, 4th gear. Now normally I like to go 3rd gear with these cars, the new innovative F126 cars, because then you can really floor it, you can nicely, here is a straight mode. So immediately you will be going on as you're going past that Hungarian podium over here, where you want to get that unique ceramics trophy, which for example, also from my homeland, you will get a similar kind of art, but it's a very French art, so, it's always very fun, it's not really that expensive, but man, if you hit it hard against something even not so hard, like the podium, it can easily break, like for example, you found out, a few years ago. So over here in your Scarlet Red Ferrari, as the lovely Eastern European countryside opens, you will be heading towards that blue meter, 100 meter board, and brake pretty much right after you get past it and downshift to the 2nd gear. The downshifts are actually a big problem with the F126 cars. Here you can easily play. The drivability in the lower gears is fantastic. So, 2nd, 3rd gear, you can really feel confident against straight mode over here, which is why we actually put a lot of the wing, because you have a lot of the straight modes over here. The wing suddenly doesn't matter. Here you can brake later, but it is difficult to brake and turn. Again, the lack of the downforce will mean that the car will be very sluggish to turn into this corner, but again, if you can brake and turn at the same time, that will be the best. You know, third, fourth gear, some of the bumps, but you want to feel them when you go very, very quickly. And another straight mode. So sector 1, it's all about straight moding it really. So basically, you don't need to worry about the wind. So good thing that we have the higher tire pressures. Then here again, this corner, you know, you have to go 7th to the 5th gear. It will be interesting to see what happens with the hot lap, because it is easy, you know, again to run a bit wide and the lap is invalidated. There is that water park, you can see it. We definitely recommend it. We love pretty much all of the water parks, and you could also watch the F1 race from there. Maybe that's something Hungarian can think about, because here you can really see which driver can get on the power early. That can get you significant amount of time, as you will brake relatively later after that 60-meter board, but then again not too late, so that you can go nicely through the chicane. Don't hit that high curve. You hit it here, and then you can immediately go on the traction. Again, that can easily win you a couple of tenths, you know, which you cannot get on the long straights. 5th or 4th gear through this corner, maybe you can play 4th gear and try to stay on the throttle. The more throttle you can give it, as you get the early turning over here, you know, the better it will be. There will be a lot of battery deployment over here. I do expect it, because again, you know, you can get lots of lap time right up here and here. Normally we went 7th to the 6th gear pretty much in all of the editions, but here you probably need to go to that 5th gear so you don't run wide. You will be struggling for downforce, and then straight mode, which again means both of the wings, front and the rear, will open, which means you have to be a little bit careful. We sometimes have the DRS here, sometimes not. It means brake relatively early. You can hit the curb, the inner curb, or avoid it. Same for the other curb. You know, it can give you amazing amount of lap time, and this is where the anti-roll bars can easily give you quarter of a second over here. For 5th gear, and then rotate it from the 2nd gear, play with it, expand the track, but not too much, for a perfect lap around the Qatar Airways sponsored Hungary. So are you ready to go on the F1 26 hot lap? Of course you are. So everybody, let's go over here. So let's see what happens. So let's rotate it. Let's go around, come on. This is Hungary. Look at that speed of the Smalley Side champion. Nice one, look at that accuracy. Straight mode is coming over here. Nice, look at it, these downshifts. And go on, come on. You can see the lack of downforce, but this corner is tough. We got it. Just within the limit. And go. Nice one. 16. Look at that. Play with the gears. Come on, Jan. Good one, good one. Straight mode. Come on, Jan. This is F1 26. Nice one, Jan. Come on. Around this new better club. Like a champion. Go for it. This is it. Nice one, and we did indeed make it in less than 1 minute. Obviously 20 seconds. That's obviously less than 80 seconds, which is what we were aiming for. So actually, you know, overall, I have to say, you know, we did lose not such significant amount of time. You know, our fastest, obviously the hot lap with the F1 25 cars was 118.8. Here, I believe we did 119.4. So yeah, you know, only losing half a second. So tracks like Monaco, but also Hungary, for example, here you don't really see much of a decrease in speed. But boy, when you see that red hot lap, when we can go maybe even 5 seconds quicker. This is what the limits of Hungary are. I'm sure you now know why I always find it on pole position, right? Yeah! Five pole positions I am! And soon, hopefully, to be the 5-time world champion. So I hope you enjoyed this new F1 26 hot lap. I'm so happy, you know, that the car is nice and stable. Really, that setup, you know, makes so much of a difference, because if for example you turn in sharply to some of the turns, and the car doesn't react, that's actually a massive problem, to be perfectly honest with you, because you can easily, you have to correct it, but you can easily spin. And here at the Hungarian ring, that is a definite possibility, as you will see when we are gonna be doing the racing. Some of the cars and maybe some of the teenagers will be going on for spinning. So over here, I hope you enjoyed, and now all I can say is that it was a great pleasure over here to show you the new F126 cars. Obviously, ever since one of our favorite tricks, Barcelona, going all the way so far to the Hungarian ring. We also hope that you guys will enjoy that well-deserved summer break and be back at the end of August, obviously out there in Zandvoort. That will only get one taste over here of these wonderful cars. But yeah, it's a great pleasure to drive. And actually, it's the circuits like these when you don't have a lot of the long straights, where obviously the battery deployment can be massive, where you can really feel just how nimble, just how drivable. That's how I would really describe this new F126 car. So you can really make a lot of difference, especially in lower speeds. And I once again did, because I'm this one is a champion, Ferrari's biggest fan, and Ferrari's fastest driver. So everybody, let's go racing for the final time before we are gonna be all soaking in this wonderful 2026 summer sunshine. We love racing, we love Formula 1, we love Ferrari.